Next, I wanted to bring attention to the Denver homeless sweeps that have been going on because what you're going to see is as the All Star game is getting closer to being in Denver, is that they're going to be sweeping out more of the homeless people that are in the downtown Denver area. And this is a thread by Kevin Beatty showing what the amount of large scale encampment sweeps that have been happening. I want to pull back for a broader perspective on Denver's encampment sweeps, so I began collecting numbers on them a few months ago. The city just finished its 17th straight week of forced cleanups, the longest streak since data became available in 2020. So this photo will show you the days and months, the days in each month that Denver police have been trying to get rid of the homeless tents throughout the city of Denver. As you see, this is January 2020, still technically pre-pandemic, and they did a few sweeps in January, a bit less in February. It started to kick up at the beginning of the pandemic in March. They actually had a month in April where they didn't do anything at all. Picked up again in May. Hardly did anything in June and July, and even August, partially due to the fact that things kind of let up for a while with the pandemic. Because if there's one thing that's clear about how states handled this pandemic was we went strict on lockdowns for like a while. Then we tried to loosen things up because the capitalists needed business again. Then another outbreak, time to tighten things back up. And ever since Biden took over in January, you've seen things start to loosen up again because they want to try to make sure the elite capitalist class has a chance to benefit. But the thing that you'll really notice here is these sweeps have really ramped up in a big way, March through June. And we will suspect that in July, it's going to stay consistent due to the fact that in another week, All-Star Weekend festivities will be starting in Denver, and that there's a lot of homeless people in the downtown Denver area. And the last thing with the opportunity for tourism to take place is that they don't want homeless people to be seen in that downtown Denver area. And even pre-pandemic, if you're along 16th Street Mall at night, you will see homeless people trying to take shelter and sleep. But the thing is, just like Echo Park in LA, which had a lot of high-profile attention for the way that Mayor Garcetti handled the homelessness by kicking people out from the Echo Park community, especially when the people of that neighborhood embraced the homeless people and even started a neighborhood garden there, is the fact that their idea of addressing homelessness in these democratic cities has been very wrong for a long time. As I said, homelessness is a policy choice that the ruling class continues to make by repeatedly forcing homeless people to be removed while they could instead offer housing that allows them to get back on their feet. And do not start with the whole, there's people who want to be homeless. The thing is, we do not justify not doing what's right and making sure people have the basic right to a home because of people who would fall through the cracks regardless. We cannot make the exception be the justification for not improving the homelessness problem that we have in the United States. And it's only going to get worse as the eviction moratorium finally gets lifted, because what you're seeing right now is they're just continuing to kick that can down the road. I mean, we thought it could happen July 1st, but now they've decided to put the moratorium back in place till the end of the month. And even that isn't a completely foolproof solution to preventing people from getting kicked out of their homes. On Wednesday, Mayor Hancock insisted nothing new is going on here. We are not doing anything different in terms of our cleanups. We have not ordered for more cleanups in the city of Denver, he said. And what you'll see here is this graph shows that Hancock is by and large lying. You see that there was a dip beginning of the pandemic last year. It spiked up it had a little blip up during the holiday season, but it stood mainly consistent. But then from March on, the earliest point where people were starting to get vaccinated, that's when they've really started to rise. And what you'll see here is a great example of a country who has pretty much made homelessness a non-issue is Denmark. They have a program set up where you have a basic right to home until you can get back on your feet. And the fact that ideas like that aren't being enacted nationally here, and we just continue to force homeless people to move around, is a major problem in this country, is because we easily have the money to solve homelessness. But each time that you decide to do something that is more financially costly by just having police, for example, constantly throw away tents, a inefficient use of money compared to setting up programs to allow people to get back on their feet. And about 600 to 700 people get caught up in the sweep each time they decide to do it. And this is a map of the city which will show you the typical areas of Denver where these homeless sweeps take place. And a lot of it is centralized around centered around the central part of Denver, a lot of it being downtown. And once in a while they do touch the outer parts of the city, but far less frequently. And the hard part is with the idea that the LA did with removing the homeless people from Echo Park, is they offered an alternative for them far out of the way of the area they had chose. And that's another issue, is because there's going to be people, if they want to get back on their feet in a certain city, and if you place them in a city much further away from where they've uh, decided to settle on for a while, you're just making that harder, especially when uh, they also don't have a means of transportation. And that's just an example of that, because in addition to homelessness being a problem, we need to get back to a point where public transportation is a public good, where people aren't having to pay a large chunk of their, uh, a hefty chunk of their paycheck for a continuously rising cost in this country, which is public transportation. Because if we have a system set in place where we continue to make it free, it would be easier another way to help homeless people get back on their feet. And what's clear to me is this is only going to become a bigger problem, and they continue to use ineffective means to address homelessness.